Hello and welcome to the Gaggle Whopper Challenge, and if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely, and I just want to record a short video about the extraordinary events we experienced today. So earlier this afternoon, Peter and I recorded a podcast in anticipation of President Zelensky's visit to the White House to sign this mineral resources deal with President Trump. And um, we were anticipating this meeting, and in light of President Trump's remarks during his two pressers with Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer yesterday, it seemed as if the public relations campaign being waged by the Europeans and by the British to try to rope Trump into continuing to support this war in Ukraine, it seemed to have been quite successful. Both Macron and Starmer had made their pitch about bringing in what they call peacekeepers or the security guarantors, and they seem to be pushing Trump into making some kind of a commitment on their behalf that America would provide some form of security for these British and French and German and whatever forces that might be in Ukraine. And the way they would do this was through this resources big deal that Trump was on the brink of signing with Zelensky, so that therefore the United States would have a vested interest in the success and flowering of Ukraine and the development of Ukraine's resources. So once America had made that commitment, it was only just one step further that the United States would provide some form of guarantees for British and French forces in Ukraine. So that's what we concluded earlier today. But then things changed rather dramatically, because we were under the impression that Zelensky, having watched how Macron and how Starmer had handled Trump, that Zelensky would take a leaf out of their book and would do whatever is necessary in order to flatter Trump, in order to get into his good graces, tell him what a fantastic president he was, how this deal that he was pushing for was the best possible deal for the United States, absolutely a fantastic deal for Ukraine, and that this meeting would end in this happy signing of this resources deal. But that isn't what happened. And what happened was a quite extraordinary event of a press availability that devolved into a shouting match with Trump and J.D. Vance on one side and Zelensky on the other side. And the shouting just went on and on and on. And at any moment we'd expected that, well, maybe Zelensky will think better of what he's doing and just back away, make some friendly, joking remark and just let things cool down. But no, he continued with this argument, and the upshot was that after this press availability, they had a meeting, and then there was supposed to be the signing. And there was supposed to be a press conference. The signing was canceled. The press conference was canceled. And Zelensky is now on his way back to Ukraine. But I want to show you what happened during this meeting and this extraordinary shouting match that they got into. It all started with J.D. Vance speaking in quite polite, general terms about the need for diplomacy. Nothing terribly controversial, just that there needs to be a diplomacy, and therefore the war needs to come to an end through diplomacy. But Zelensky didn't let it go at that. Instead, he launched into this attack on diplomacy because apparently diplomacy is playing into the hands of, yes, you guessed it, Vladimir Putin. So let's just watch what happened then, because I've never seen anything like this. I don't think anyone has seen any meeting like this. So let's just watch this. Okay.
Country is America engaging in diplomacy? That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 is
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that.
Now, keep in mind here that Zelensky is, of course, lying. The whole story, and he's putting this out, and of course, Zelensky's apologists in the media continually putting the story out that somehow it was Russia that violated the Minsk Accords. And as we've pointed out many times before, that is simply not true. Ukraine never intended to abide by the Minsk Accords, and this indeed has been attested to by former German Chancellor Angela Merkel and, of course, former French President François Hollande. So he's lying here. And I think because he was lying, this really led to, as we'll watch, the complete breakdown of this meeting.
He broke in this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
President,
position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
Not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
We're
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with
the
the lives
president
of
in war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War III. And
Wait.
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
Where is
they
that?
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loud.
And you can see here that Zelensky just wouldn't let this go. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. He's just, he's continuing to talk over Trump. And then he starts getting condescending with J.D. Vance. And this is an absolute train wreck of a meeting. And what's interesting, as we'll watch, is that Trump is really getting angry. He's getting angrier and angrier. And I haven't seen Trump this angry ever. I mean, normally he's quite good humored. I mean, he's obviously gets very snide and nasty and makes very disparaging comments about others. But I haven't actually seen him get really angry. And here he's getting angrier and angrier. And Zelensky is simply not reading the room. He's, instead of realizing that this is going badly, this is the time to stop. He just continues. He continues to argue with the president and the vice president.
Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute.
answer?
No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying-
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank-
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military equipment.
You
And you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If
West?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
in 3
okay?
days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
I heard it from Putin. So now he's right to Trump's face. He's saying effectively you are repeating Putin's talking points. This is terrible. It's one thing the media who say this about Trump. They don't actually say it to his face. He says it to his face. And that's not a good position for somebody who is a supplicant. And your task is to try and keep your benefactor, flattered and happy. And as Macron and Starmer have shown, it isn't that difficult to get around Trump. They made a study of Trump, and they know which buttons to press, how to talk to him. As we discussed with Peter in our earlier podcast, Starmer went out of his way to try to sound like Trump. Everything is great, fantastic, unprecedented, historic. That's the way to get around him. Zelensky just simply has no idea, just no understanding of where he is. I mean, he evidently still thinks he's talking to Biden. But the problem with that is that Trump has now been president for more than a month, and he's also been president-elect now for I think getting on for 4 months. So there should have been plenty of time for Zelensky to get acquainted with Trump and Trump's particular habits.
This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks. Of course,
It's
yes.
going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I'll tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of
Accept
times,
that
thank
there,
you
accept
to
that,
American people.
accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
Tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low on
know.
soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war,
But you're saying you don't want a
But I
ceasefire.
said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire
guarantees.
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
Doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your-
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Mr. Vice President, sorry,
It's a tough deal to make,
um,
because the attitudes have to change.
what if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
What if
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
But what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
All right, so it went on for a little bit longer, and that was, but there you get the gist of what really happened today. But there was the meeting, the press conference was canceled, the signing of the deal was canceled, and Trump then sent out a truth. And let's take a look at that. What he said is a kind of summary of the events of the day. And here it is. I just spoke to President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. The conversation went very well. Yes, he, like President Putin, wants to make peace. Well, am I looking at the wrong? No, sorry, that is not what I was. My apologies. That was not what what I was trying to show. Let's see. Yes, this is it. Yes. So let's let me try again. Yes. So this is it. Yeah. And here we have a statement from President Donald Trump. We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today, very meaningful. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. In other words, he's saying, it's like, he's not being clear. He's saying that somehow, as long as America is involved, he basically thinks he gets a free ride, and that he doesn't have to make peace. Which I think is correct. It's a very shrewd analysis. That basically, what we've done, we've empowered, and Trump had used that during the press availability, that we've empowered Zelensky, and as a result, he's unwilling to come to an agreement. And that, of course, is correct. So saying is that he's not ready for peace if America is involved. So long as America is there, he's basically going to reject all entreaties to make peace, to have a ceasefire. So that was the kind of pressure on Zelensky that basically most of us were hoping for, that he's finally going to tell Zelensky, that's it. There's no more road. It's you need to come to a settlement. There's no point in this killing, this destruction to go on. The outcome will be the same. So let's make peace now. But he's saying, but as long as America's just writing out the checks, as long as America's just sending him arms, he doesn't want to make peace. And that's what, so Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. So this is an extraordinary truth. And again, let's just read this out, just so that we've got the sense exactly of what he said. It's amazing what comes out through emotion, and I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in his cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. So no press conference, no deal, and Zelensky is on his way back to Ukraine. And then on Sunday, he will be attending the meeting in London, and which I don't know what this meeting, but it'd be something about implementing this agreement, sending peacekeepers or security guarantors, all this nonsense. And it's nonsense, because if there's no agreement, then there's nothing to enforce. There are no peacekeepers if there's no peace. So you can't start talking about the mechanics of implementation until you actually have an agreement to implement. And so I don't know what exactly they're going to talk about in London. So the question is, what happens now? I mean, obviously there are a number of options. Zelensky could apologize, eat humble pie, and say, he's very tired and emotional. It's been a very stressful few days. He didn't know what he was saying, and he's ready to work on whatever deal Trump has in mind. That's one possibility. I mean, in other possibilities, of course, that the British and the French will make a pitch to Trump. They'll be calling him up and saying, that you misunderstood him, that he's not as bad as he seemed, and he's not used to these kinds of events, though he is used to it. He's been to Washington many times before, but in the past he's been received in a very slavish, obsequious way. Remember, he addressed Congress, and they unfurled a Ukrainian flag in front of him, and everyone hugged him, and everyone cheered him on. I mean, it's almost unbelievable to think that this is just, I think, 2 years ago. Everyone in Congress wanted to hug him, but Washington has changed, and I think Zelensky didn't seem to be aware of this. Another possibility is that somebody will replace him. They'll say that Zelensky has become a liability, and somebody else needs to take over in Kiev. I think that's a little unlikely, but it's not impossible. I mean, he is now a liability. Trump and Vance have really taken a dislike to him, and even if this particular fracas blows over, and apologies are issued, and then everything is forgiven and forgotten, there will still be a bad taste there, and the Trump administration will be nothing but hostile towards him. So it would make sense to replace him with somebody else, and that could happen. And we'll see. I mean, obviously, the obvious candidate is Szamuely, currently the Ukrainian ambassador in London. He's been talked about in the past as Zelensky's obvious replacement. So, but we'll see. Nonetheless, these events were quite extraordinary, and it is going to be difficult to see how exactly the U.S.-Ukraine relationship can get back on track. It might. I mean, there's still a possibility. But at this stage, Trump is really angry. Trump is demanding that Ukraine essentially comes to an agreement. He seems to talk about these deals interchangeably. There's the natural resources deal that he wants Zelensky to sign, but also a deal to bring the war to an end. He seems to talk about these two deals, as if they're being done at the same time, which is a little strange. But that's clearly what Trump is going to do for him. Maybe it is all some kind of a Trump negotiating ploy, and that Zelensky will come back and sign this agreement, this natural resources agreement, and then he'll get back into Trump's good graces. I doubt it. I doubt whether that will happen, or at least it won't happen anytime soon. This quite extraordinary event, and I think it really illustrates that this war really needs to be brought to an end really soon, because it's now it's no one knows exactly what this is supposed to be about. I mean, we've had Starmer and Macron and all the rest of the NATO gang demanding that this war continue, but none of them is able to explain toward what end, what is the final goal of the NATO powers. What are they trying to achieve? What would they settle for? What's a realistic, achievable goal? And Trump and Vance, I think, sense that really there's no point in this war continuing. I mean, just continue this, it means just to continue with the killing, and without any obvious advantages accruing to Ukraine, obviously, to Russia, to the United States, and even to NATO land. So, extraordinary day, and we'll continue to watch what's happened. So we may well be further events during this weekend, and then we'll record more podcasts as events unfold. So thank you very much for joining me. And remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.